Michael and Liam here on Sin 90.7, and what a big weekend it was of footy. It was so exciting. So much going on in the AFL, NRL, tennis, A-League,
golf,
badminton, everything.
lawn bowls,
Gaelic. Everything happened this weekend. I
had good news. Both my teams are in the
Croquet.
finals of the Gaelic, so I'm proud of that.
Wow.
Hashtag
So we'll talk a bit of Irish stuff later. We love a bit of Irish.
But let's jump straight in. Let's jump a big round.
Big round of AFL.
I've never seen a ladder like this after 2 rounds where the whole top 8 are 2-0.
You know, coming into round 3 next week, for the very first time in history, Port Adelaide and Adelaide are going to be playing a showdown 1v2. Very first time it's happened, which is just insane.
Oh, there's going to be an absolute sellout in Adelaide.
It's going to be a sellout. It'll be like the first game in the AFL Women's League. There will be a lockout.
Oh, it would be. It absolutely would be.
People will be hiring their own personal cranes, and they will be rising above the stadium and watching the game. It's going to be insane.
Just hide your wallets, hide everything. You know how those Adelaide people can be.
They're going to increase the sales. They're going to increase the tickets. They're going to increase the beverages. It's going to be expensive, but it's going to be amazing.
Wouldn't you love to have a few frothies at the game? It would be magical.
I'll tell you what they're going to be selling a lot of. Pepper. A lot of bell pepper.
Oh, bell pepper!
A lot of bell pepper.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't
insane.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't even on the field yesterday. They just love saying his name.
I just love saying bell pepper. Bell peppers on the interchange. Bell peppers going off the ground. Bell peppers coming on the ground. Oh, you get too excited. Oh, so exciting. But yeah, look, it's been a big round of football, and you look at the top 8 and you go, is this gonna be the top 8 of the season? Probably not.
No, I do think I wouldn't count Sydney and Hawthorn out.
I mean, you wouldn't say Fremantle would finish last. That's absolutely inaccurate.
No, they're not going to finish last at all.
No,
they'll finish 19th.
No, that's right. No, they were dismal. But no, we're gonna talk about that a little bit later on.
We'll jump straight into round 2 with the worst game. Of 20, probably the worst game I've ever watched.
Oh,
Richmond play Collingwood, and okay, lads, fellas. You guys are athletes. You make a lot of money to kick a bloody ball and hit a target.
Skills. Where were they? Where were they on the weekend,
your skills pay the bills.
They do pay the bills. But I tell you what,
none of the bills were paid this week.
None of the bills were paid this week.
It was terrible.
I'll tell you what, though. I got to say that the tackling pressure, though, this weekend was pretty impressive, I must say. I quite like the way a lot of teams attack the ball. And you look at some of the numbers this weekend of some of the players, they might have not got, huge disposal numbers, but their tackling was probably one of the most spectacular parts of the round. Because I look at the game on Saturday, for example, where I think Jaeger O'Meara and Tom Mitchell got like 35-plus disposals, yet they weren't really using it that well. And then I look at other players who maybe went under the radar a little bit, but their tackling pressure was insane. But on Thursday night, didn't really see much of that. It was a pretty dismal performance.
Yeah.
However, one player we should mention, and this is why I mention the tackles. This is why I say they're so important. Team high 15 tackles to Trent Cotchin.
The Brownlow medalist.
And I think for the very first time, he's starting to play like a Brownlow medalist.
Oh, he really is, yeah.
He really is. He's had a great season so far. And when they were against the sword in this game, he had 28 possessions, 7 clearances, 8 inside 50s, and 2 goals against the Pikes.
If you don't mind.
I would call that a complete performance. As much as I hate to say it, that is a complete performance.
Then the grand final replay delivered. It absolutely.
This was great. This was great. Another close game against these two sides.
Can anyone change a game like Buddy can?
That was
the
some of the
Doggies
best.
had a front row seat to the Buddy show.
Best back-to-back goals I've seen. The first one on the run, he almost did a Kale Hooker, except he thought maybe this time I'll give my opponent a bit of a chance, and I might just kick it from 70 this time. I'm not going to run the full way. I'm going to kick it from 70 because guess what? I can. I'm Buddy. That's what I can do, and that's exactly what he did. And then the goal after that takes the mark, and very reminiscent. He just got that beautiful arc. Don't know how he does it. He's the only player that has that kind of kicking style, and from about 50 out, on a really tight angle, just went bang. But best 2 minutes I've seen.
Then the Doggies are like, oh wait, we're the reigning premiers. We should actually play.
Let's do something here, and they did. They delivered. They were great. One man I'm really liking, Travis Cloak.
How good. He started off bad, and me and my mate were bagging a bit of traffic. We were like, oh, just get rid of him. And then he just delivered bang, bang, bang. As good as you like.
Travis Cloke, the new Travis Cloke, he would actually save a baby from a burning building, you'd feel.
Oh, he would,
you feel like this guy has suddenly got a massive following. I mean, Doggy supporters, very admirable people. They loved Clokey now. They absolutely adore him. It's incredible how a man can change, and he was brilliant. You know, he just makes a target in their forward 50, which is great. And you know, he's taking big marks. He's running up the wing as he usually does. It does look like he's playing more percentage of his game in the forward 50. Whereas I think in Collingwood they tried to play him more up the ground to get that contestant mark, the chain to get into the forward line. But he's a really good target up forward. He probably takes the best defender now, which is very good considering last year he'd probably take your worst defender.
Which is good if you're Jakey Stringer and just good as you like.
Exactly right, and we should mention him as well because he was brilliant on the weekend. That goal that he kicked from, he always kicks him the package. He's got the lot.
I've got a question actually. Do you think with they have Jakey String is quite tall. He's 193, I think.
He's quite a tall man. When you see him up close in real life, you're like, gee, he looks a lot taller than what he is in real, like, you know, in what he does on the TV.
Then you got Tom Boyd, and once Rufford comes back from injury, Rufford will be number one ruckman. Then you got Travis Cloke. Does Trevor Cramery stay in the side? He's done nothing.
He's done nothing
much
so
this
far.
year.
No, even his tackling pressure isn't really that good, and he certainly isn't playing the football that he was, say, around 2011. He was pretty poor on the weekend. So no, I don't think he's. I think he needs to go back to the side. Look, a couple of those returning players from that Essendon list have been a little bit slow, whereas some of the other ones like Dyson Heppel have just been setting the world on fire. So it really just depends on all of them getting back. And you look at Paddy Ryder as well at Port. Big reason why they're so successful. We'll obviously touch on them a little bit later on.
I've got a bit of issues with Paddy Ryder and the freaking umpires.
Well, we'll get into that a little bit later on.
And we'll talk about probably the premiership favourites, and I think they deserve to be known as the premiership favourites at the moment. Adelaide Crows.
Adelaide Crows. You did put them
in the grand final.
In the grand final.
Up against the wall against the Hawks, but got over quite easy in the end.
This game, I think I tuned into the first quarter, and I think the Hawks were about 4 goals up, and I'm thinking, gee, well, the Hawks, you know, they're going to respond quickly. They're going to be that side that we thought they were this year. They're going to be thereabouts. But to Adelaide's credit, they found something because Josh Jenkins went down pretty early in the game. It looked like a pretty bad injury.
And he could play next week.
Yet he could play next week. You know, he was holding the ribs, didn't look too good. But, he was sent to hospital at the 10-minute mark. But his ribs are okay, and he'll be playing next week most likely.
This is Hawthorn's 4th loss in a row.
Yes,
they
that's
have lost
right.
6 out of 7 games.
That's pretty hard to believe.
And the first time Hawthorn's lost 2-0 since 2005.
And as we were saying last week, it's the first time that they had lost a round one, or that they didn't have a round one with either Mitchell, Lewis, or Hodge in it for, I think, since maybe 2004. It's been a long time since those players have been out of that side, and they do look a little bit depleted. And I did touch on the fact before that they did have a lot of disposals. They had a huge amount of disposals. In fact, they won the disposal count. But the thing was, you had players like Jaeger O'Meara getting a lot of the ball. Like
probably the worst 36 disposal game you've probably ever seen.
Worst 36 disposal game I've seen. 30 handballs that really did nothing. And Tom Mitchell, 38 disposals. All right, yeah, look, there's another Mitchell getting a lot of disposals at Hawthorn, but where are they going? That's the big question.
O'Meara was 66% disposal efficiency.
There you go.
You finished the word off for me.
Efficiency.
Yep, and Tom Mitchell was 63%.
That's right.
That's not good enough.
And that's the thing, like, they won the disposal count comfortably. 410 to about 368, so that's a huge one. Adelaide won the clearances, though, and the stoppages were equal. Yet the inside 50s, I think Adelaide won, and the contested possessions were equal as well. So you got to wonder where all those disposals are going. But we got to talk about the Adelaide Crows. They were outstanding. Tom Lynch, someone who just usually plays in the forward line, he had 31 disposals and a goal. So he played extremely well.
He probably won the Tom Lynch of the week.
The Tom Lynch of the week, I think he did. I think anyone who plays for Gold Coast would be struggling. But
we'll jump straight.
Good segue. By the way.
First, we'll have a moment's silence for the remains of the Gold Coast Suns because they were destroyed.
They were destroyed.
The sun
Cyclone Debbie didn't even need a touch
for
there to be damage. They were just so dismal. It's very hard to rate where the Gold Coast are, and there's always going to be comparisons, particularly in the year where I think GWS would fancy themselves for a very, very big finish. They're always going to be compared to the Suns, or the Suns are always going to be compared to the Gold Coast, because these are the two expansion teams. These are the two teams who were injected with so much talent.
These are the two teams that should be playing off in AFL's mind, should be playing off in the grand final this year.
This was the projected time and the place where it was all going to happen.
Gold Coast probably should have played last year, maybe lost or won, and then this is the next year.
This was it. This was going to be the year. But
and Gold Coast they have the list. Like if you look at, I'll name some of their players for you.
It is a big list. I think one player before you get to your list, Gary Ablett. We know he is returning for the first time for a long time in a season where he is just full of criticism. Because he really hasn't played with the same kind of...
He does not want to be there one bit.
He does not want to be there. And, there were rumours...
touches.
A lot of people were joking when he first came to the Gold Coast, like, Gary, one day you're going to come back to the Cattery, you're going to be one day a part of the fateful team. And he never said no. He never said no. And, the captaincy's been ripped off him. And he just doesn't look like a leader anymore, and he's not really having a big crack. He's being lazy and unaccountable off the ball, which isn't the first time it's happened. But the problem was in those games that he was apparently being lazy and unaccountable off the ball, he was still getting 35 disposals. But he just had 16 touches on the weekend, and a lot of people are asking the question: are Gold Coast better off not having Gaz?
Well. I would say yes. I think you look at GWS. Tom Scully dropped $1 million last year to sign a deal. He wants to be there. Cullen Ward wants to be there. Phil Davis wants to be there. Who else did they sign their first year? Ooh.
Well, I mean, the reality is that
most of their made a contract. Josh Carley's rumoured to sign. They've already signed Patton. They've signed Thomason. They've signed all these players. With probably more to sign. Maybe one or two might leave.
It's such a strong list.
It is, but then you got Gold Coast. Like Colin Jasny is, Colin Jasny and Miller, two probably up and coming players that will be stars.
Yeah, Tuk Chugga Chugga's been very, very good this season. He's been very lively. But
skipper Stephen May played good, but nothing great. David Swallow's back. Give him a few weeks. Aaron Hall's too inconsistent. Like they have a good midfield. We back Gary Ablett in it. And there's only two players from their original. They picked up all the players. The two left are Ablett and Harbrow. And it's just then.
And also a player I'm waiting on is this Jack Martin. Because Jack Martin, I think when he was picked in the rookie draft for the Gold Coast Suns,
GWS mini draft,
yes. He was expected to be an absolute out-and-out gun.
Apparently he was better than O'Meara. That was the rumour.
That's what they were saying.
O'Meara's the next Ablett, but this Martin guy is better than O'Meara.
This Martin guy is the next greatest thing in the AFL.
Don't get me wrong, 13 touches, 3 goals, 1, like not too shabby.
Not the worst performance.
Runners up in last year's best and fairest, and 84% disposal. So
not the worst. Yeah.
You want him to destroy a game.
You want him to go above and beyond.
Like you want to be like, wow, where would Gold Coast be without Martin?
That's right. So,
but he did sign. Like he signed on as well. So they're getting the signatures which they haven't got in the last few years. I'm going to go to a song, and then when we come back, we'll discuss more of round 2 with my rant about a certain GWS player here on the Sport Desk on SYN 90.7. That was Say You Won't Let Go here, but that by Stan Smith here on the Sport Desk on SYN 90.7. And speaking of Say You Won't Let Go, Ryan Griffin, mate.
Ryan Griffin.
Mate, okay, if there's anyone in Sydney knows Ryan Griffin, just let him know. Or if you're a Bulldogs player and you're like, oh yeah, I can get in touch with Ryan Griffin, just please.
If you're gonna go get a double shot latte down at the Sydney Harbour Bridge and you see Ryan Griffin walking in with a particular kind of style of hair, what do you think you're gonna say, Liam?
Well, let's look him up. Mr. Griffs, you are 30 years old.
Mr. Griffs.
Turning 31 this year.
31.
I understand.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're a bit upset that the doggies, you probably thought, oh, the doggies will do nothing about me. Ha 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 ha.
Oh.
Mate, you're in your 30s, okay?
In your 30s.
Let's not do the man bun.
No.
No?
No, it's not acceptable.
People in their 20s shouldn't do the man bun. The man bun shouldn't be a thing.
Well, can I just say quickly, I remember I used to play for Pegs in the football, and we used to play Assumption. Now, Assumption had a very, very big problem. Not only were they breeders of Aryan students, but they also all had man buns. Now, of course, when they have the ball, what do you think you automatically do?
Pull the hair.
You pull the hair. And you know what? It's not considered a high tackle. You just pull their hair, they yank it, automatically the ball drops, and that's it. Now, when I say the ball drops, I'm talking about the ball that they're holding. But, of course, these guys, they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue. You can't do the man bun.
At the age of 30, you can't do it.
You can't. Not at the age of 30.
Okay. You're probably a father.
He's got a family.
Yeah,
He's got a family.
If you have a family, you can't have a man bun.
Well, what kind of message is that giving the children? It's not a message.
It's okay to look stupid.
It's okay to betray your club and go to another one for money and a premiership and have a man bun.
I understand there's a lot of giants that have it.
It's wrong.
Like, both of your captains have longish hair.
They do.
But, they're young and they're naive and they have a lot of money, so they can look stupid. But, Griff. Buddy, pal, amigo.
There you go.
Just please, I want to see you next week when the Giants play North Melbourne. Just get a haircut.
Get a haircut.
Please. Let's talk about the Lions, actually.
The Lions? Yeah.
Why am I talking about the Lions? I was talking about North Melbourne. But we'll talk about the Lions.
Well, this is the next game, and this was a Saturday night thriller at the Gabba, and a lot of people thought, there's not going to be too much to shout about in this game because these are the two teams that finished at the bottom of the AFL ladder last season.
Boy, wowee.
Why do they deserve a Saturday night? But it delivered. It was a great game.
And don't let the final score, which was 84 to 111,
fool you.
Yeah,
don't let it fool you.
Lions, Hipwood, who I think put on a few kilos.
He did?
When he puts on a few kilos.
When he does.
He'll be an absolute star. I know there's a lot of talk about Josh Sakade being out of contract and Melbourne clubs want him. Hipwood's where it's at.
Hipwood is where it's at. That is where
and he's a Queenslander. So there's less chance he would leave the club.
And according to one of my mates, he absolutely loves the Cass in Melbourne. Absolutely loves the casino in Melbourne. So if you guys like going there, just keep your eye out for Big Eric Hipwood. But no, this was a great game. Essendon kicked 8 goals in a row, and when I checked the scores, I'm like, Essendon are about 40 points in front. Comfortable win. And Essendon's problem in the past has always been that they, after winning a very emotional first game, you always kind of don't know what to expect the next week, whether the emotion drops out. There's not a huge Essendon crowd there. They might start to show a little bit of signs of fading. But to their credit, they needed to win this game. They needed to show that they were going to be contenders for this season, and they did it well. But after kicking 8 goals in a row, Brisbane kicked the next 6. And a lot of people are like, wow, this is incredible. And Brisbane, again, are kind of playing a lot better this season. They're looking very well led.
Well, this is probably the first time in ages you can probably say there's some light at the end of that tunnel for Brisbane.
There is.
And if I'm a young player like McCluggage or Sakade, I wouldn't be looking at the cash from Melbourne just yet.
No. I think you'd be pretty firm up there.
Like you might be probably 5. I don't think they're going to win many games, but I don't think they're going to get blown out the water.
No, I don't think so.
And actually, both captains are you look at all the new captains. You look at the Fife. You look at Viney. Both of the Gold Coast captains. All the new captains, probably the 2 best.
Yeah, Heppel and Dane Beams. Dane Beams had an outstanding game.
You probably forget, due to his injury as well.
33 disposals, 2 goals. He's almost a different player, isn't he?
But you forget how good he was at Collingwood. You forget that he probably would have been the next captain after Pendlebury at Collingwood.
You do. That first season at Brisbane, he was injured very early on, and you never saw his full potential.
Second
but now,
year, he only played the 2 games.
You feel like he's a reinvigorated player.
Oh, yeah.
You feel like this is a new Dane Beams.
Oh, he belongs. The captaincy belongs to him. I know people say like Zorko would have done great. Rockcliffe, he's a good player, maybe not the best captain. Oh, and if I was Rockcliffe, I'll probably re-sign as well. But
Here's a fair call. If he gets more tattoos, will he be the next Dane Swan?
I think he's a bit not as loose. Not as loose as Swanee.
You're right. Not too many eventful pre-seasons. So, but no, this was a good win by the Dons. And Orazio Fantasia, he is an absolute favourite of mine. 5 goals, if you don't mind. He's really looking like a damaging forward. And he's in the Coleman. He's right in the Coleman.
He is, yes.
He is embedded in there. And, it wouldn't surprise me if he did some damage in the Coleman. For a small forward, well, I mean, he's not that small, but for a player who plays small in the forward line, his set shots are just as impressive as the ones on the run. So, very dangerous player, Orazio.
Let me just read this to you.
Okay.
18-8 to 13-19. If I was Richo from the St Kilda coach, there would be I wouldn't want to come to training on Monday if I was St Kilda
today he is going to be warming up the vocal cords, I think, Richo. And I would imagine that Richo would be a man who likes a very decent rant. And
I'll probably take him to get the eyes checked, make sure they have that 20/20 vision going on. But like, oh guys, you can see the goalpost. Oh, sorry. So I just thought you couldn't, because that's what cost us the game. Could have cost us the finals, as we looked at. Only Sydney is the only team since 2008 to lose the first 2 games of the season and play finals.
That's right.
But since there's so many teams that's lost 2 games in a row, it might be different this year. Whereas there's only 10 teams that can make finals, which Brisbane probably won't make finals.
Now, Liam, St Kilda, they are the talk of the town because obviously they are looking very good. I mean, obviously they haven't won any games yet, but they... Coming into the
Much better
season,
than last week.
Everyone was saying, this is a team that's going to finish in the top 8 and they're going to challenge. And they bet some very quality sides last year. And to go over to Western Australia and to almost beat the West Coast Eagles, to lead the West Coast Eagles for most of the time, is a very impressive performance. But this is what I want to talk about. You remember last year in the draft, or should I say in the trade period, St Kilda made a very, well, at the time it was criticised. They gave pick 10 to Hawthorn. And in return, they secured picks 23 and 36, and then a 2017 pick 1 to 18. Now, these are between the points of 2,302 and 4,317. Now, this all depends on where Hawthorn finish on the ladder this season. Now, this is very topical because, of course, Hawthorn have lost their first 2 games, and if they fall out of the 8, St Kilda will actually be the victors of this deal. And at the time, I'm like, the Hawthorn dynasty won't be over this season because Hawthorn always continue to find ways to win. However, if Hawthorn win the flag, which at the moment is looking a little bit unlikely, but we never want to rule out the premiers. The Saints win the trade by 848 points, so they will get the equivalent of pick 22 for free. Now, if the Hawks finish 8th, Saints win the trade by 1,024 points, the equivalent of pick 17 for free. Now, if the Hawks, on the unlikely chance that they get the wooden spoon, if your team Fremantle doesn't get it, Saints win the trade by 2,863 points, and this could be the equivalent of pick 1 to 2 for absolutely nothing. Now, this all depends on where Hawthorn finish on the ladder, but it's interesting to see, just by these points, where St Kilda could possibly get their picks from. Now, St Kilda have said openly that they might go for Lachie Whitfield at the end of this season. Now, if they happen to get pick 1 or 2, or at least a pick in the top 10, securing Lachie Whitfield's services might be a lot easier than what we think.
There's another player. There is another player by the name of Nathan that St Kilda have had their eyes on for a while.
Nathan?
Yeah, Nathan. So he's not a bad player.
Mr. Nathan, yes.
Needs a haircut as well.
I think I might be aware of this Nathan. I think he's returning this season.
Captain of the club.
Got plenty of potential, this young boy. I tell you what.
He's a good young chap.
But yes, he's certainly going to be the in the trade talk at the end of the season. But St Kilda, they're looking good, and I tell you what, this might be a deal that potentially gets them into premiership contention for next season.
I think Brisbane Lions, I don't want to say they've lost this deal, but they trade, Port gave them up their pick, first round pick for this year's draft. So Lions aren't loving where Port Adelaide is at the moment.
That's right. No, they're certainly not.
We'll go down to Sunday with a choke from North Melbourne.
Wasn't this a game? This was great. I mean, it doesn't really surprise me that North Melbourne choked again. They were leading for most of the game, in fact, and Cats came from 32 points down late in the third quarter, kicking 6 of the last 7 goals to win 17-10, 1-12 to 17-9, 1-11 at Etihad Stadium. And George Hall-Smith, you ever heard of this guy? You remember him?
I've heard the name.
He got a Rising Star nominee a couple of years ago. You know, decent looking guy. Looks a lot like the blonde folk at Geelong.
Kicked a nice sausage roll.
Kicked a pretty decent sausage roll from about 45 metres out, giving the Cats the lead that they desperately needed. They start the season 2 wins.
Which would be good. Which would make a nice mouth-watering contest next week at the Etihad Stadium when they play against this club, the Demons.
The Demons
are 2-0 for the first time
2-0 for the first time
since 1895.
I was gonna say, and it's all happening. And I just want to play a really, really quick little thing when the D's were last up, and this is beautiful. If it does play, of course. Yeah. Now you got to remember, back in the day, D's had some absolute stars. Come on, Demons!
2-0.
This is such a great tune. I can't believe I didn't discover this.
Oh, it's a grand old flag at the moment.
It's literally in this video. They've got. It's a song. It's great. They've made a song about them being in premiership contention. I love it.
Oh, it's been
a
while.
long time. It's been a long time.
And the Demon fans were probably ready to burn down the MCG at three-quarter time yesterday.
They were. Look, we've got to give some credit to Carlton. They were very, very good yesterday. And when Matthew Wright snapped that goal and put Carlton in front, and then is it Sam Petreski-Seaton? I think that's right. I think that's how you say it. Very, very high draft pick, Sam Petreski-Seaton.
Yeah, first round.
Played very, very well. I thought he played very well in the first round as well. He's going to be a player in future. Obviously, he's got to find his feet on the big stage, but he played very, very well, and he kicked a very, very good goal, put them in front by 2 goals, and I'm thinking here, wow.
Essendon versus Melbourne last year all
I was
over again.
about to say, what is it with round 2 and the Demons? They can't seem to do it.
But it was actually the first time since 2005 they are 2-0. Which would make it a good game against Geelong at MCG because Melbourne now has that monkey off the back, the round 2. And the Demons' biggest issue, especially last year, was that they lose those games. If Demons can get over Geelong, they have the Dockers.
Oh, God, go on.
Oh, that's a cakewalk and a half.
Oh, come on. Come on. Never ride off the Dockers, mate.
Then they got the Tigers, which is probably another cakewalk, so Richmond fans. And then they got the Dons, so they've got a nice few games coming up.
So are you potentially saying they could be 5-0?
They could be 5-0.
Wow.
I've got Adelaide at 10-0.
10-0.
So then round 11 they've got a nice one until they play Adelaide.
Oh,
Geelong.
well, they got Essendon in round 4, mate. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The premiership favourites, the Dons. But I think one man we need to highlight, Christian Salem. He will forever be criticised because of the fact that him and Dom Tyson came to the club when the GWS Giants grabbed, I think it was Josh Kelly instead. So there's always going to be a comparison on who won that trade. And I actually thought it was one of the best trades I've seen from Melbourne in recent years. They said, let's bring in some players who are going to be good and potentially could really inject some firepower into that midfield and into our backline.
Paul Roos stated himself that Dom Tyson is the equivalent of another 1 draft pick.
I think he is.
So no pressure on the young man whatsoever.
Absolutely none. Absolutely none. But Christian Salem, this is the best game I've seen him play for the Demons.
31 touches and nice
Started
snag.
with double digits in the first quarter in possessions and finished with a career high 31 disposals. And so it must be noted, as we were just mentioning before about that trade that was highly criticised, me personally, I believe it was an amazing trade. Dom Tyson and Christian Salem between them had 63 disposals combined. And of course it was, pick number 2, which the Giants used for Josh Kelly.
Then you got Clayton Oliver as well.
I'm liking this boy.
Another good game as well.
Now, of course, last season he started like a house on fire, and that's not because of his red hair. But 35 disposals, he was outstanding. He did drop off a little bit last season in the second half of the year. He was barely sighted, but
that's what you do as
he
a
is looking very, very good. I'm just loving the look of the Demons.
How good do they look?
But I mean, look, let's not glitter this too much. It was a scrappy win. It was a gutsy performance. They didn't win pretty. The Demons, they didn't win pretty, but they didn't have to win pretty.
Yeah, you win.
You get the win. They get the win. It's a good win for them.
Now let's talk about some ugly.
Let's talk about some ugly. Yep.
We talked about the good. We spoke about the bad. Now let's talk about the ugly.
This is...
the Fremantle Shockers.
Gee. The Fremantle Shockers. I think they could go along with this name now.
I've been a Dockers fan since 2001.
2001.
Where they defeated Hawthorn at the good old Colonial Stadium. Colonial, that's what it used to be called.
Remember that?
Oh.
Shocking Guernseys, by the way. Absolutely terrible Guernseys.
The 3D anchor on the side, it was... Okay.
Yep.
We have the third... They have the third oldest list in the AFL.
Fremantle?
Yep. They played all the old players and they're old. They can't play anymore.
No, they...
but give Port Adelaide credit. Mr. Power Pepper.
Power Pepper. I'm loving this, man. 25 disposals, 3 crunching tackles, and 1 sausage roll. He was outstanding. Ollie Wines and Robbie Gray, again, combining with 61 disposals at the top of the order. And 6 goals from Robbie Gray, if you don't mind.
6 straight as well.
6 straight as well.
There was one moment in the last quarter, he got the ball absolutely bamboozled Lockie Neal, broke his ankles, and just straight through the middle.
I've always loved Robbie Gray, but
he's
the year that he changed it around was when he started to turn himself into an inside-out midfielder. And, you know, he always was a great goal kicker. He always was. Port Adelaide always had him in the forward line back when Choco Williams was at the club. But I think now that Ken Hinkley's there, he's seen his potential in the midfield, and as a result, he just kills it in there. So this is great by the Power. And what I absolutely loved, Ken Hinkley. In his press conference, you know, they're talking, they're asking him questions about the showdown next week. They're saying this is the biggest showdown in history.
Yeah,
this is
massive.
First v second. You know, there's going to be blood on the grass. It's going to be a huge crowd.
There'll be brawls in the stand.
There's going to be brawls in the stand.
There'll be fires everywhere.
There's going to be fires
massive.
burning all around the Adelaide suburbs. And you know what he goes? He goes, you know, I just want to enjoy this moment. It's been a long time. It's been a hard off season. I've had so much pressure on me. He's like, you know what? Just let me enjoy this. Let me enjoy the win. Let's talk about the game. Let me enjoy this win. And I was just like, you know what, Ken? I couldn't agree more. He's like, as a coach, if you can't enjoy the wins, if you take things too seriously, then, you know, you're in the wrong industry. And I think it's good to enjoy big wins. You look at the Doggies. They love big wins. They celebrate every big win. And so good on Ken Hinkley.
A good example is Mike Sheehan's open mic last week that he had the man, the Pav.
The Pav.
With the biggest noz in AFL history. Talked about how his biggest regret from the 2013 Grand Final was not enjoying the week.
Yep.
And Ross Lyon told him to enjoy the week, but he did not enjoy the week.
Did not enjoy the week.
You got to enjoy those things.
You got to enjoy those things because you're only there. Sometimes you can only be there once.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a big round of footy, Liam. Huge round of footy.
Because I've also got a footy rant I want to do, but I'll do that after the song. But we'll go to my issue with Freo, Kirsten and McCarthy. There's these new forwards that come in. The next Pav.
The next Pav.
Which is a big ass, you know.
I don't think McCarthy's nozzle is as big as Pav's.
Kirsten's got a nice noz.
Yeah, he's got a decent noz.
But he needs to change that hair, though.
I think they just recruited him for the noz, to be honest with you.
It's not their fault. It's the coaching's fault. They have him up the ground. There was no kicks. There was no lead up kicks.
You're right.
They were either bombs or kicks to like a Michael Walters, who's also having not a good season.
He hasn't been good so far.
Hasn't kicked a goal. But then, you know, Freo is the only team with no multiple goal kicker this year. But it's just they're meant to be forwards. You're meant to have the lead-up kicks. You're meant to try to hit them straight on the chest or directly in front. And they're in the back line or the midfield. If you're having 2 tall forwards, keep one in the forward line. Or back so they can run to the forward line. Like, if you want to be like the Doggies last year and not have a dominant forward, then don't play like you don't have a dominant forward.
That's right. You
can't have 2 tall forwards and then play like you don't have a dominant forward. Because they don't have a Chris Main, the market. They don't have a Shane Yarn anymore. They don't have 190 or 185, those marketable players.
That's right.
And when you lose by so much like Gold Coast and Freo did, the main thing that annoys supporters is there's no signs of, you know, positive. Five having a good game, Neil having a good game, Bradley Hill having a good game.
They did play well.
But, you know, that's all expected from players like Fremantle. But you need a good game from someone, you know, who a Malaki Weller or something like
Joel
that.
Hamling.
Joel Hamling, like, he's lucky playing the premiership.
Big Connor Blakely.
Oh, he had a shocker.
Where was he?
5 touches.
Where was he? No,
Zachy Dawson had 1 kick out on the full. Dawson's days are up.
Yeah. He's gone. They've been up for years. Look, your frustration is certainly well and evident, but
nice man after this.
But we should deflect away from that. Look, we've got more great sport coming up. We're talking some big upsets on the A-League when we get back, and we're also talking a little bit of controversy in the tennis in Miami. And Miami's a place of mystery, of detectives, and we're going to forensically analyse something that happened on the weekend. So you're listening to the Sports Desk on SYN 90.7. What are we listening to, Liam? Hey, who isn't loving themselves at the moment? Melbourne Victory.
No,
How would you feel? How would you feel? Wow.
You're so close to the finals, you can't put in a performance like that.
Yeah, this isn't. I mean, this is the crunch time of the A-League. You know, you've got to be winning these games against clubs that are very, very low, and you know, the New Zealand rivalry continues, doesn't it?
Oh, it was terrible. They the Warriors. I think do they have a chance to make finals? Yeah, they have a slim
chance.
A very slim shady chance of making the finals here.
I mean, that was a very, very good victory by the Phoenixes in this game. Victory didn't even score. It was 3-0 going the way of the Phoenix, and they were outstanding. And they just continue to show that, you know, in this league, anything's possible. You can't box anything in.
Apart from Sydney FC not losing a game.
And look, my man of the match goes to Rolly Bonavacchia. Now, the Dutchman, he put on a long-distance shooting clinic, storing 2 absolute crackers, and he produced an absolute stellar all-round performance in the midfield. And, I absolutely like big Dutchmen, big players who get up, get about, get rowdy, and he was outstanding, kicking 2 of their goals and practically wrestled the game away from the victory. So how telling will this be? Well, I suppose that's ultimately going to be the say.
Well, Victory's got number 2 pretty much wrapped up. You'd say it's kind of safe to say. They have the Wanderers, and then they play Central Coast, so 2 bottom of the ladder teams in their run home. Oh, I know Wanderers 5th now. Wow, it's been a while since I've looked at the ladder.
Yeah, it has been a fair while.
But Central Coast are last.
They are. They're not looking the best.
But I don't think anyone can go past in the FC this year. It's their season.
No, it is their season.
Another absolute clinic against the Melbourne City. Another Melbourne team losing 3-0.
What is it with Melbourne teams?
Oh, they love the 3-0 defeats.
I tell you what, another 3-0 defeat.
Bobo. No. Nice 2 goals, if you don't mind, for the Sydney FC.
No, did very, very well indeed. Also on Saturday, the Wanderers got up against the Newcastle Jets. Another 3-0 win. I cannot believe this.
And another 2-goal performance. Born Cornthwaite.
Cornthwaite? Yeah, that sounds about right. He's not another Dutchman, is he, as well, is he?
I think he is.
Oh, there's too many Dutchmen.
With 2 goals as well. And then we go to Sunday with a nice 5-1. Something different. But Jamie McLaren.
We needed something different.
Jamie McLaren with a nice hat-trick.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Oh,
gee.
Given that
They've got some talent.
Brisbane Roar a chance to get nice sitting 3rd. Might be challenging the Victory for the 2nd spot on the ladder.
I reckon they might be able to push it. I mean, they are 4 wins behind the Victory, but if the Victory continue to go winless into the last couple of rounds, Brisbane Roar could push them up on percentage.
But for good news for Melbourne, we'll go to the skipper of the Storm, Mr. Cameron Smith.
Mr. Cameron Smith. Beautiful man.
Notching up his 238th win, again, if you don't mind, with their 28-6 win over Penrith,
What a man.
which he's now the highest winning player in NRL history, including the one premiership, well, 3 premierships, but we don't class 2, including 1 premiership.
I'd like to count all of them, but, obviously in the history, in the stats books, that's not going to reflect properly. But I think as a leader, as an inspirational leader for the Storm, as a man who really brought them through a hard stage of their...
and to win a premiership 2 years later as well.
To win a premiership 2 later.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely inspirational. And you look at the league, and, it is a mostly dominated league by the Sydney teams, by the New South Wales teams, and even by the Queensland teams. So for a Victorian team to do so well and to wrestle back a victory just like that.
Ever since I don't even remember the last, apart from when they couldn't make the finals in 2010, they've made the finals every year.
They have.
Ever since losing the Broncos in the 2006 grand final, I have not seen them since. And going nicely in 5 from 5. Just going on quite nicely in Melbourne.
They're doing okay. They're doing pretty well. I still remember the days when Cameron Smith was. There were talk about him coming to Essendon. They were going to convert him.
Talks, yeah.
They were going to convert him.
He wouldn't make it bad.
I reckon he would have made a decent
nice
player.
Kick on him.
I mean, I don't know if he would have lost as much weight as, say, a Carmichael Hunt or as an Izzy Folau, but I reckon as far as his leadership goes, he would have been better than those 2 players combined. So I would have personally loved to see it. Now, getting on to more NRL news, there is a massive success from the AFL Women's League that has actually bolstered calls for an for an NRL Women's Comp. Now, I reckon this is great because after seeing the hardness and the toughness by the AFL Women's in the Women's League, by the Erin Phillips.
The Erin Phillips League.
Gee, I'll tell you what, and she'll probably play in this league
and
as well.
she'll win all the freaking awards there as well.
She will be the best and fairest in the NRL Women's League as well, I reckon. But I think this is got a huge potential to really lead as well. And I think what the AFL Women's League has done is actually increased interest in women's sport around the country.
It's been a phenomenal
and
thing.
With the women's comp, it shows that it's that this is priority now for the NRL to consider. And after seeing some of the hardness in the AFL women's, this has big potential.
And you know what's baffled me actually? The fact that this conversation didn't happen when the women's won the touch rugby in the Olympics.
I know the sevens. It's unbelievable.
That's when the conversation should have started.
It should have started then.
No, it started because of the older brother when it comes to the most popular sport in Australia, hands down.
The disappointing part about this is because the discussions have happened so late, Liam, now it's reportedly they're eyeing a 2020 start date for the national women's competition, with leagues officials concerned that there aren't enough elite levels for the female players to support a national contest. But it's still about 3 years away. In that time, they're obviously looking to.
AFLW League was meant to be 2020, but Gillian McLaughlin pushed it forward.
So I think this has the potential to be pushed forward as well. They obviously start with maybe 4 or 5 teams, and then they can branch out a little bit more if they want.
Chuck in a Melbourne, chuck in a Brisbane, chuck in a North Queensland, and maybe a couple of Sydney teams, and you should be sweet.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, and New Zealand team, because they will win.
But, despite saying, this being ready by 2020, I look at the statistics here, and according to the ABC, the last 3 years, there was something like 482,000 women involved in playing rugby league. And this is a 25% increase on the year before it. So it's obviously increasing rapidly. 482,000 women playing rugby league is an astounding number. So this could possibly be pushed forward well before 2020.
It should. Women's sport is probably the focal point now in all Australia.
And the reality is, women's sport, particularly in Olympic events of recent times, has actually performed better than the males. Not only in the Olympic events, you look at the Southern Stars, they played extremely well. The Matildas have played extremely well as well. So they're probably doing a lot better than the men's league at the moment.
Actually, the Matildas, with Lucy, will win the next World Cup.
We'll win the next World Cup.
Lucy said it, and you can't. Lucy's never wrong.
And Lucy is the she's got a magical crystal ball here, and she always gets it right. She's always on song. So, this would be great. We'll have to get her opinion next time she's in about when this league's going to happen, because she will know. She will know.
Honestly,
Could happen next year.
I honestly thought it was happening this year because I was doing a whole thing. Like, Mum's doing, all the clubs are doing a women's jersey. Like, this is our special women's jersey. So I thought to myself, they are making a league. It's a bit quiet. I'm like the AFL Women's League. But yeah, I agree. I think I know it's kind of hard to say. Has it been too long before it comes out? Because let's just say if it came out in 2005, would it be taken as seriously as it did in 2017? So all those questions about the Women's League.
There are a lot of questions around it, but we can only hope that through this now they can get it done, they can get it sorted, and as we've seen from all the success of the Women's League, this will just continue to impress.
We'll talk about women's the AFL women's for a quick second before we go to a song. Erin Phillips, the woman who won every award, and that's not even joking.
Wow.
She did say that she's actually tossing up her future playing in the WNBA in America, where if you've watched her highlight package, she banks them for threes for days, like not even joking, or playing AFL. So it'll be interesting to see what she does in the future, because she'll be a big loss to the game if she leaves.
Absolutely correct. But I mean, I just want to correct you real quick. Darcy Vescio won the Mark of the Year. Come on, you got to give Darcy Vescio some credit.
Oh yeah,
for getting
she won 2 awards and Vescio won the rest.
Yeah, that's right. So Erin did dominate the night. Yeah, I mean she's such a talented player. She's such a talented athlete that she could pretty much play any league, any time.
We were being serious. If she played the rugby, she'll probably win. Have you seen those arms?
Oh, they're amazing.
Marvelous.
They're delicious. And that's the thing. So they're obviously gonna her prowess is just going to continue to rise, and and she could also probably participate in the Winter Olympics coming up as well in Sochi. So she'll do well.
We're going to do a song we'll talk about next. Curious here on the spot. This is No Horan with This Town. Yes, on Sin 90.7. And before we go, let's talk about the Kyrgios.
Nick Kyrgios. He's one of my favourite sportsmen of all time.
He's a character.
He's a character. He gets a lot of criticism. A lot of people say, he's a tool. He doesn't play the sport in the right spirit.
He's not a gentleman. He doesn't wear
He's not a gentleman. He doesn't wear white at Wimbledon. I don't care. I mean, he's a character. And in sport, we always love characters because the game wouldn't be it without them. They make the game what it is. But this on the weekend was disgraceful, wasn't it, Liam?
It was from the American audience in Miami.
Miami audience, that's right.
Like, we know the Americans are, not the most intelligent people in the world.
No, you're certainly correct about that.
But the worst one was the wife.
The wife
of the greatest player of all time.
It can't be Nick Kyrgios' wife. I don't think he has one, but
I don't think anyone.
I'm guessing this might be his opponent's wife.
We understand people booing Nick Kyrgios when he does something arrogant or childish or there's lots of reasons to boo him, but he did nothing wrong.
This was disgraceful. Mirka Federer is officially the most wanted. She's the most wanted. She's on our Sports Desk most wanted list. We're actually scribbling out Cam McCarthy and Ross Lyon here, and she becomes number one.
Yep.
She's number one target. This is just disgraceful. What are you doing? You can't say you're yodeling or whistling to your favourite song, Mirka. You were clearly booing Kyrgios. And you know what Kyrgios was doing while she was booing? He was just changing his racket. It wasn't midway through a point. It was just before the point started.
Wasn't having a temper tantrum.
Wasn't Wasn't breaking the racket.
Wasn't complaining it was too hot, like Bernard Tomic did at one time.
Now look, I've got a problem with the cameraman. I always hate whenever there's a Federer match. It's always on Mirka. Why? She's one of the most emotionless people you'll see. She gives us absolutely nothing. She doesn't smile. I've never seen her smile. Even when Federer wins, it's all very kind of serious. It's just like, well done. Okay, you might get 1 block of chocolate tonight. Maybe even a ski. That's it,
That's not where I thought you were going with that, actually.
That's
something I might have to push a dump button for.
Well, that's right. No. But I just don't understand it. I know with Andy Murray games, they'll put the camera on his wife as well. I think it's a little bit unfair. I think you're trying to focus on the player. You're trying to get in on the motions. The coach is fair enough, but leave the personal out of it. Leave the wife out of it. Leave the kids out of it.
It was. It's a very disgraceful game. For someone curious who gets heckled because he's a bit of an arrogant person.
Now, look, according to some tweets here, he apparently yelled at the audience, telling them to shut up. Now, whether that is true or not, I'm not too sure. And he threw a fit after. Apparently, he lost the point after telling the crowd to shut up. But, if they're booing him for absolutely nothing, it was a very distasteful look. And I think, he has every right to say to the crowd, hey, look, I am trying to play my very best against you guys. I'm trying to put on a show for you guys. It was a 3-set match, which is the highest it goes in Miami. And, I just think he was just trying to play his game.
Yeah, and, it's not very often you get to see a future number one play one of the greatest of all time. Kyrgios should be a future number one. There's really no reason why, if he lets his tennis do the talking, he can easily become a future number one.
That's right. And I think he's shown already, particularly against his matches in Mexico against Djokovic, where he bet him there again. He's got great potential, great talent, and if he just keeps his mind on the prize, he'll be outstanding. But I think it's worth saying. Kyrgios is in the top 10 in the rankings. Mirka Federer, her highest ranking was number 76 on the 10th of September in 2001. So guess what? As far as skill goes, I think Nick Kyrgios has that one over you, Mirka. So you have no right to boo. If you were pro and you got if you got in the top 10, okay, boo. Fair enough. But no, you're number 76.
Up for our fellow Aussies here on the
You're number
test.
76, and you were only winning 55% of your games. So no good.
That's all we have time for on the sports desk. Next week's our last show, isn't it?
It is our last show. Be very emotional.
Sad. Old Danny boy.
Old Danny boy. That's it. That's all it is. That's all she wrote, as they say.
Because me and you we're not coming back next season.
We're going to be back in our third season. We're going to be skipping the next season. We're going to be going abroad, interstate. Away from the country, and we'll be coming back with a lot more sport news. I'll be going off to Vietnam, so I will be reporting about their sport, and you'll be going off somewhere exciting as well.
Yes. That's a secret.
He will be revealing that in future, so that'll be very, very exciting indeed. So thank you again for joining us. Of course, join us on Friday when we do Sports Desk and reviewing and previewing the weekend's sport action. It's going to be very exciting.
Yes, here on SYN 90.7.